In this tutorial, we're going to be talking to you about the settings screen in All Pro Football's new editor. If you go down to this gear icon and click on it, you will see your settings menu. And these are very important and key to how APFe works with your roster and season files. Okay, so we're going to go through these really quick and give you an idea of what each one of these do. Okay, auto backup files. You're going to want to keep this checked because what this does is it creates a backup copy of your current roster or season file that you have loaded. So every time you save, it will create a backup for you. So you want to keep that checked because one of the things that is very important while using this is making sure that you know where your files are located, what they're doing, and if you make a mistake, you want to be able to go to a backup. So keep that checked. If you don't, then a backup will not be created when you hit save. Very important to keep it checked. Age calculation today. What that does is if you have it checked, then what it will do is it will tell you the player's age based on the current date, right? So this guy's 44 years old. If I uncheck it and go back to the same person, it's going to use the age start or age date as of the date that All Pro Football had it, which was on July 16th, 2007. Okay, I keep this checked because I want to see the current rosters that I create, their current age. I don't want it to go back to the day that All Pro Football had. So keep that checked. Large attribute values. If you check large attribute values, what that does is it will allow you to go up to 127 in the player attributes screen. Okay. If you have it unchecked, then you can only go up to 99. So 0 through 99 if you have it unchecked, or 0 through 100 if you have it unchecked, and then 0 through 127 if you have it checked. I leave it unchecked because I'm not sure if All Pro Football even cares about anything above 100. Enable offline prompt. Okay, so what this does is whenever you have a online roster, which means that your roster hasn't been reformatted to work offline only. Okay, and then when you have offline, what you can do is you can do a lot more editing with the player names. You can basically type whatever you want for the player names. But when you're in online mode, you have to pick from whatever the game allows you, and you're very limited. So online mode is if you want to take the roster file online, okay? If you only want to use it offline, then you're going to want to rebuild. And clicking this checkbox here basically will turn that prompt on or off when you're loading an online file. So it's basically a file that hasn't been set to offline yet, okay, or reformatted for offline. So we're going to show you an example. If I open up a online file, it's going to detect that the file has not been rebuilt. If that option is checked, then you're going to see this pop-up dialog box asking you if you want to rebuild the file, okay? We're going to hit no for now just to get back to here, right? So I normally keep that checked. You don't want to keep it checked if you're always working on online files. If you're an online guy and you always are using online files, then you don't want to necessarily see that prompt every single time. But keep in mind that if you turn it off, then if you want to create an offline file, you're going to need to turn it back on in order to load a file and reformat it. Okay, moving on. Display copper stars. So let's talk about what a copper star is. First of all, APF has 3 different stars in the game. They have a gold star, a silver star player, and a bronze star player. And they also have generics, which we call none in APFe. So what a copper star is another star that's only in the editor that is for players that are not a gold, silver, or bronze star, but they have at least 1 or more abilities. Okay, so when you check this, it will automatically show you how many copper stars you have. You also have a total here of all your stars. Okay, so it will include it in the total here. If I go into a generic player and I add If we add an ability to him, you'll see that the copper star shows up. Okay. If you change their star to bronze, you'll see it turns to bronze or silver or gold. But if you go to none, typically what happens is you won't have a star. In the game, you won't have a star, but here it detects it if you want to see it in the game. I normally keep this on because it will tell me which players are better than generics, okay? So keep that on. If you have it turned off, then you won't see the copper star here. This will only include the gold through the bronze. This image needs to be updated to remove that copper. But if you look at the player, they won't get the copper star if we add an ability now. So that's what this one is, and I keep it on. Splash screen is very intuitive. It shows you a splash screen whenever you load the editor, same as before. Show getting started. Now this one is brand new. What this does is it will show you this getting started menu if you want to get a quick idea of what All Pro Football's editor, this All Pro Football editor does. And it takes you to these important links that will will guide you into how to use the software. Okay, so that is the display, the getting started screen, which I normally keep off. Full screen mode is exactly that. If you have it checked, then when you start your APFe, it'll automatically start in full screen mode. Pro divisions. This one is if you want to see your divisions, and I don't think we can see it from here because we're not in a season mode. But pro divisions basically take the north, south, east, the ones that come within the game of APF, and it changes those to AFC, NFC, so you have a different labeling for that. But it's very just cosmetic, just labeling. Default team, what that does is it automatically loads to the default team that is on your roster. So if you normally play with the Legends and you want to have the editor automatically go to the Legends when it starts, then you're going to want to select that team here. One caveat to this is if you select a team that, let me step back. What this does is it shows you every team that's on your current roster. Okay, so if this roster has the Legends on it, but then I open up a second roster that doesn't have the Legends, and your default team is the Legends, right? That new roster can't find the Legends, so it's just going to default to the first team. So keep that in mind if you happen to see this switch. History, this is the player history that's written inside the game under the player details. So this is set for everyone, so everybody on the team will automatically get the same history that you set here. Everyone in the entire roster. So when you save, everyone gets the same history. And I did this because the history slots are very limited, and there really wasn't enough room to put a history for everyone, so we just give everyone the same history. Okay? Now, if we go to this section here, this is only for Xbox 360 users. PS3 users, you can ignore this and end the video here. For Xbox 360, this is where it keeps your profile, device, and console IDs. Okay, when you load an Xbox 360 file, it will have whatever IDs inside the file, right? So what you want to do is, let's say you were to get a file from your friend and he has a different Xbox, obviously. When you load his file, this is going to have the settings that you had saved previously. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to import. What you're going to want to do is basically, let me step back. These settings here are what you've imported into the editor to save and re-sign files to use, right? So like my Xbox is this one here. So what I did is what you do is you take a roster file from your Xbox that you have saved and you've basically, had originally from your Xbox. You load it into All Pro Football Editor. You hit the import button, and what that does is it imports and saves in your settings the IDs to your specific Xbox, which are in that file, right? So that's what you're going to want to do the first time you use this, is preserve your Xbox IDs. Okay, this avoids you having to go to other third-party softwares to rehash and re-sign your files before going back to your Xbox, because they won't work if you don't do it the right way. So you're going to want to save and preserve your Xbox's IDs here from a file that you saved on your Xbox. So once you do that, you hit import, it will import them here, done. And this basically, if you change this and you want to reset it, it will reset it back to whatever you had prior to coming into this screen. So it's like a fail-safe thing. I normally don't type any of these, I just import. And if I'm making a file for a friend, I'll import their IDs, and then make my changes and then save with their IDs so that their console will work without having to worry about all this, okay? And this checkbox here, what it does is it will automatically re-sign your file without asking you. So I have it unchecked. So it should ask, if we save, it's going to ask, do you want to, re-sign and rehash roster? And it tells you all the different IDs. This doesn't look the prettiest right now, so I'll probably fix that. It will ask you if you want to re-sign or not. If I just check it, it will automatically re-sign it for you and save. And that's it. These are the settings. They're very important. And be careful using the editor. Have fun making your rosters. Have fun enjoying this great game. And we'll see you in the next video.